New Year celebrations are supposed to be fun. Ushering a new year is a significant time, and for a lot of people, time for new beginning. But for Bourbon Street on the 1st of January 2025, it was disaster. Bourbon Street was alive. Midnight had struck just an hour before, and the French Quarter pulsed with the electric joy of a new year. Music thundered from jazz clubs. Street performers dazzled tourists. Neon signs flickered in sync with 1,000 camera flashes. For many, it was paradise. For one man, it was a battlefield. Shamsud-Din Bahar Jabbar was not there to celebrate. He was a 34-year-old with a troubled past and a radicalized present. As the city danced, Jabbar circled the quarter in a gray Ford F-250. Inside were 3 weapons, a handwritten manifesto, and a mind consumed by hate. Just past 1 a.m., he turned onto Bourbon Street and pressed the gas. Chaos followed. Screams replaced music. Bodies scattered like dominoes. Within seconds, 14 people lay dead or dying, and over 50 were injured. The truck finally slammed into a barricade outside a bar, at which point Jabbar jumped out firing. He was killed in a shootout with police by 1:11 a.m. But the nightmare had only begun. Shamsud-Din Bahar Jabbar was born in Newark, New Jersey, in 1991. Raised by a single mother in a rough neighborhood, Jabbar struggled early with poverty, isolation, and petty crime. Arrested at 17 for assault, he spent 2 years in juvenile detention and emerged more withdrawn. After converting to Islam in his early 20s, Jabbar initially found peace. But in online echo chambers and extremist message boards, his faith twisted into fanaticism. By 2022, he was on the FBI's radar, not for any specific threats, but for patterns of contact with known radical entities. He left his job as a warehouse technician in 2024 and disappeared from his Newark neighborhood. Months later, he would surface in Louisiana, renting an apartment under a false name and purchasing firearms legally using ID loopholes. Authorities would later uncover hours of encrypted messages, online propaganda downloads, and a manifesto handwritten in a spiral notebook. It ended with one line: "I will drown bourbon in its own music." Bourbon Street survivor testimonies painted a harrowing picture. "It was like a war zone," said Angela Price, a bartender who ducked behind the bar just in time. "One second we're dancing and the next the floor is red." Cell phone footage captured panic, people trampling one another, others dragging the wounded, and the rapid echo of gunshots. Emergency responders arrived within minutes. Victims ranged in age from 19 to 67. Among them was a street saxophonist beloved by locals, a honeymooning couple from the UK, and a security guard who'd saved 3 others before being struck. The city declared a state of emergency. Hospitals overflowed. The French Quarter fell silent. But as the shock faded, questions grew. Forensics teams processed Jabbar's Ford F-250 within hours of the attack. Inside, they found 2 semi-automatic rifles, a Glock handgun, 300 rounds of ammunition, military-grade gloves, and handwritten directions to multiple public sites in New Orleans, suggesting the French Quarter may not have been his only target. The passenger seat held a burner phone and a second notebook with partial maps of Bourbon Street. One chilling note read, "Where noise is loudest, strike deepest." The vehicle had been modified. Investigators found makeshift armor, metal plates duct-taped behind the doors, and an attempt at rigging the gas tank for ignition, hinting at plans for martyrdom. But the setup failed, likely due to rushed preparation. Surveillance from nearby businesses showed him circling the area for 37 minutes before the impact. By morning, the FBI had taken the lead. Special Agent Denise Hartwell confirmed the attack was being treated as domestic terrorism with ideological motives. Digital forensics revealed Jabbar had downloaded over 200 files of extremist propaganda, written over 100 encrypted chat messages, and used the dark web to research past attacks. "We have no evidence of foreign operational support," Hartwell stated, "but make no mistake, this was ideologically driven." Despite being loosely flagged by the FBI in 2022, Jabbar fell through surveillance cracks. Analysts later revealed his IPs had been masked using Tor networks, and identity fraud allowed him to rent vehicles and apartments undetected. Critics blasted the federal watchlist system as outdated and underfunded. Former FBI agent Claire Mendoza explained, "Lone wolves are unpredictable because they operate outside of command structures. They study how not to get caught." In Congress, hearings began. Calls for reform echoed, but civil liberties debates soon followed. How do you track a ghost without violating a crowd? And music as a tool of cultural corruption. Psychologists described his writings as symptomatic of disorganized thought processes, suggesting possible untreated schizophrenia or delusional psychosis layered over radical ideology. Dr. Lila Eastman, a forensic psychiatrist, noted, "This wasn't a soldier's mission. This was a mentally unstable man weaponizing his alienation." Among the 14 victims, Elijah Monroe, 62, street saxophonist with over 30 years on Bourbon Street. "He played through Katrina," one resident said. "He was part of this city's soul." Sophie and Daniel Whitmore, 28 and 30, British honeymooners married 5 days before. Luis Herrera, 41, kitchen manager walking home from work. Tara Ung, 19, college sophomore visiting for the first time. Marcus Brent, 56, a security guard who ushered people to safety before being shot. Dozens more were injured. Stories surfaced. Alexis Ford, 33, lost both legs and now leads a survivors support group. Darnell Joseph, 22, pulled his younger brother from under the truck's path. Ibrahim Al-Nouri, 45, a taxi driver whose footage from his dashcam became key evidence. A citywide day of mourning was held. Local artists created murals. Musicians played tributes. Vigils stretched across neighborhoods. New Orleans had known tragedy, Katrina, crime, corruption. But this was different. It struck the spirit of celebration. It questioned trust in crowded joy. Security was tightened. Bollards were installed across Bourbon Street. Armed police replaced mounted units during festivals. Locals debated whether safety came at the cost of spontaneity. Out of grief came resolve. Community leaders launched Project Safe Quarter, aiming to improve emergency preparedness, increase mental health support, and educate about online radicalization. A bill named the Bourbon Street Protection Act passed in the Louisiana legislature, mandating real-time surveillance sharing across city agencies. Schools incorporated lessons on digital safety. Unlike orchestrated terror cells, lone actors operate in shadows. They blur lines between political, religious, and personal grievances. Jabbar exemplified this, a man shaped by trauma, pulled into extremism, and disconnected from social norms. His profile resembled previous attackers: male, isolated, disaffected, radicalized online. He saw martyrdom in mass murder. He found identity in destruction. By year's end, New Orleans looked the same but felt different. Streets reopened, music returned. But beneath it all was a new layer of alertness. Tourism bounced back, but with increased surveillance. Street performers wore body cams. Parades had drone support. Children grew up hearing not just of Katrina, but of Bourbon's darkest hour. The massacre remains a scar, but one the city wears with resilience. As one mural reads, "They struck at the sound, but the rhythm plays on."